break it in gently. So that's the message from the team. Brand new car, and how much fun did he have on that flying lap for us? Not quite sure which gear to use down at turn 1, and then fully sideways coming onto the front straight. Very cool. Let's take a look at how they will line up for this one. The Fuso starting grid, race 13 of the championship. We may be in June, but we still have a lot of ground to cover, a lot of miles to cover in 2015. Courtney on pole for the second time this year. Jamie Whincup heads up the second row of the grid, another brand new car as well. Fabian Coulthard alongside him. Then it's Van Gisbergen and Winterbottom. Rick Kelly, brilliant job in the second of today's qualifying sessions in the Nissan Altima. Lowndes alongside Tim Slade. That's a good job by the Super Cheap Auto racer. Ditto, Dale Wood for the Brad Jones team. Then it's Jason Bright alongside Scott McLaughlin, who we caught up with there on the grid a moment ago. Tander, been on the back foot on Friday, some steering issues, and that meant that he was chasing setup. Really, they effectively plugged in James Courtney's setup at one point to help speed up the process. Michael Caruso, and then we go back to Will Davison, who was pretty speedy in practice, but just not able to convert in qualifying. Ash Walsh ran off the track in one of the qualifying sessions today down at turn 1, rejoined, and David Wall from 25.
One thing they'll have no trouble with is making tyre temperature out there at the moment. Boys are out there just in their warm-up lap in preparation for this 21-lap journey. We're riding with Jamie Whincup, reigning champion. Made reference to the fact that this was the spot in the calendar in 2014 where Jamie was able to turn the ship. Had a great run home. He's got a lot more pressure on this year. It's a great contest at the peak of the field in terms of championship at the moment. Just 12 points between Winterbottom and Lowndes. Whincup has still moved up one position after the last round at Winton. He's in 4th. He's 136 points away. Do not write him off. 600-metre blast from the front row of the grid to turn 1 for James Courtney. He's launching it up in first gear, grabbing the brake, launching it, brake, launch, brake. That's all about brake temperature, trying to get them up at both ends. Starting pressures for tyres much lower than quali.
But we can see James Courtney just pulling up. He's just rolling ever so slightly forward, getting the spot just right for the start. He gets the line lock on. It feels like an eternity sitting here from the front row of the grid, waiting for everybody else to form up. The temperature out here is phenomenal, and the temperature inside the cabin of that car will be rising with it. As Neil said, over 600 metres down to turn 1. These guys will be focused on making sure that they launch these cars as best as they can, because it's really going to pay dividends down the end of the straight.
One of the longest runs down to turn 1.
And widest. And that's perhaps even more significant. So expect it to go 2, 3, maybe even 4 wide.
Sky City Triple Crown. It's been a few weeks break in the championship. But we get underway once again. Courtney's made a great start, but an even better start by the Pepsi Max racer, who gets the nose in front. They'll run down to turn 1. Let's see who's got the biggest set of brakes, and the Falcon might dive. He does, and takes the lead. Look behind him, there's contact there. The Freightliner entry goes off, and so does Whincup.
So Slade off, Whincup off, and Coulthard off. And in fact, there was a launch. They have interconnected wheels, and Coulthard's off the racetrack and with a flat tyre and wobbling back on at the rear. That's a brand new car.
Lowndes looked like he was right off in the grass there too as they came through that section to this point here now at turn 5, but it's Mostert who leads the way from Courtney. There's Tander battling in the background. Blanchard's gone around. Lowndes is involved in that as well.
One of the Volvos was tangled up in that. I think it was 33. So chaotic start.
I'll keep an eye on the pressures. You let me know if you've got any damage. Guys.
Grant McPherson just trying to go into damage control, and Todd Kelly's pretty animated on the radio as well. Someone's made heavy contact with him. Meantime, Heimgartner and Bright side by side at the final corner. Courtney's having a struggle here in this opening lap, and right in the draft was Winterbottom, but the thing's out of breath at that point when he pulled left. Then it's Van Gisbergen. Mostert's got a margin, 1.2 seconds. Then this little freight train here all locked in combat. McLaughlin's at the back of the field. So, in fact, in the pit lane now, Scotty McLaughlin. Coulthard's at the back of the field together with Lowndes and Blanchard.
The Nissans have avoided all the drama there on the opening lap. Rick Kelly is 5th, James Moffat is 6th. Have a look here, Kelly having a look at Van Gisbergen. He'll get it done too.
Gee whiz, I didn't know that whether or not Rick would pull it up then, and Shane saw him coming, so he steered well wide. Almost impossible to be able to get cars through 7 side by side. And I think I'm picking up that it's a bent steering arm for Fabian's car. He's in the pit lane. Freightliner entry. What a disaster for him. And both the Red Bull cars, a lot of damage down the left-hand side of that brand new car, and both the Red Bull cars at the rear of the field. Meantime, left-hand side of screen, Courtney's got the elbows up, trying to hang on. Just at that timing beacon there, it's 240 kilometres an hour. Dale Wood, I don't know that he'll stop. And the answer is no, he won't. He's probably blinded by the Moffat car there in his brake reference, and he couldn't stop it. Reynolds is just eking forward at the moment. He's now up to 6th and hanging on just. Moffat down the inside. Davey's got nowhere to play on the outside.
Flag safety car boards and flag safety cars.
Well, this is a lively start. Now, safety car boards are being displayed. We've got a fire at turn 1. This happened in practice yesterday.
I'll send him now. He's only got across the track,
Cam's race control. And a shout out, as always, at this opportunity to the volunteer marshals working hard. The order at the moment: Boston, Courtney, Winterbottom, Kelly, Van Gisbergen. Replay of the start. Great initial jump by Courtney that went ultimately nowhere.
Safety car just to hold. Okay, 60 kilometres an hour, safety car.
So James should have had command of it by the time he got down there, but the secondary part of the start may have got too much wheel spin. Yeah, there you go. There's the answer to that. His initial jump was good. He wasn't able to keep it going. Probably lit it up too much. It was actually a fair way behind by the time they got down there.
Look at how sideways Whincup was.
Yeah, he might have got some hand. I'll get it out. He might have got a helping hand.
It did seem as though the back end of the car came up, so this may be more telling the onboard. Let's watch and listen here.
Or he might have got in there too hot.
Meantime, this was the other incident as the 33 came up on the grass. Lowndes was involved in that, so too Tim Blanchard.
Let's see Whincup at the back of that pack too. So that's Lowndes at turn 5. All arms and legs just trying to capture this, and then gets cops a whack and in turn hits Blanchard. What a catastrophe all this is. It's like a demo derby. So we can see more of this story down here. So now this is the separate incident involving Dale Wood and James Moffat.
Moffat took the curb, but he was on his own really there, Dale.
Yeah, Dale had 10, 15 k's too much, and when the cars go off with all that massive temperature beneath them, it's very easy to light up the grass down there. So Ludo Lacroix, senior engineer on the left, with Roland Dane, centre of screen there at the moment. Ludo with an amazing pedigree in international touring car racing as a senior engineer.
Just trying to get in here with Fabian Coulthard. It's just tough to get in the garage. Fab's not the ideal start to that race. Just talk us through the incident.
My shiny new car.
Not so shiny.
Not a great debut for the little Alice, but yeah, look, I just went down the outside of Jamie. I'm sure someone's collected him at some point, but I feel like the innocent bystander in that one.
Were you able to? I saw you having a look at the big screen to try and get the replay. Did you have a chance to see it?
No, unfortunately one of the crew were in the way. I was trying to get my best opportunity to have a look, but no, I didn't quite see what happened. And like I started to turn in, and then next minute I just see all this blue car next to me. So I'm not sure what happened.
Bad luck, Fab. To see you out there in the next one.
Thank you.
Oh, now I'm at Red Bull Racing with Mark Dutton. 2 separate incidents for both the cars, putting them right to the back of the field. With Jamie, did he get a helping hand from anything he said, or he just get in there a bit hot?
He hasn't said anything. I think it looks like Coulthard's wheel interlocked with ours, and that's why Coulthard's tyres come off and damaged his own car. So, and then someone served Craig up before the hairpin, and it looked like another BJR car. So, yeah, we haven't had a good run for the first lap with two BJR cars. So we'll have to review it.
Does this mean, obviously, you got to look at maybe later on, look at tomorrow, obviously the tyre sets, all those kinds of things. Do you change sort of what you're going to do for the rest of this race?
No. There's been a safety car. It's closed everyone up. We've got to try and maximise, get a few spots back and get some points, a bit of racing.
Good on you, mate.
Cheers, Murph.
It was a telling angle there because it looked to me as though Jamie just was in there quick and he's tripped over the left rear of Fabian once the wheels interlocked. That's why the car flew and damaged for both cars. We were just wondering out loud whether or not he'd been given a helping hand into that situation.
Been under Lexus safety car, but we are just about ready to go racing once again. So Mostert will lead the way. He managed to gap them very quickly, but he's got to do it all again now. Courtney behind him and Mark Winterbottom. He'll be hungry to stay in touch with that group. Here we go. Restart at Hidden Valley for the Sky City Triple Crown. Pepsi Max racer, young Chas Mostert leads them. Kelly defending in the background. Van Gisbergen looking for a different line into one. Look at Courtney attacking too. Reynolds wide, Moffat through. And he might get by. He does by the looks of it, but Tander will have the line for the next corner. That's crucial.
Tander covering. Then it's Moffat, Reynolds, Bright, then Heimgartner. So Pepsi Max cars first and third. Courtney the sandwich. This is James Moffat we're looking at rearward from the bumper of Garth Tander's car. Turn 7. Coming up to 9 and 10 here, where there's been a lot of action this weekend. Cars have been pretty lively here. James doesn't look strong when the tyres have cooled out. It looked like that at the start of the race for him as well. He's only just barely hanging on out there at the moment. And if Frosty didn't run out of revs down here, listen, he'd be able to do something, but he can't. He's just got no more puff at that point. Heimgartner down the inside of Bright. He's struggling to pull it up. Runs wide. And crisscross on for Jason Bright at 1. This is Michael Caruso, who's got a bit of speedway action going on the exit of turn 1. That's what all the revs were about. Quick left foot dab at the brake pedal to bring the brake pressure up.
Here's a move here, or a look. Oh, a bit of contact. Courtney defends hard in the 22. Winterbottom gets out of it. Shout out to the second car as well in the Holden Racing Team stable. Garth Tander started 15th. He's picked up 9 spots to be 6th at present.
So this just puts the underline on the James Courtney thing at the moment. So for some reason, it's taking a while for him to find his feet. Either that or the car is just out of balance at the moment. There's Lowndes trying to find a way through, and his teammate Jamie Whincup, both 18th and 20th at the moment.
Todd Kelly ahead of Whincup there, and it's the repair management entry of Nick Percat ahead of Lowndes. We go back to the front and look at the gap, 1.4 seconds between Mostert and Courtney. Slade having a look at the DJR Team Penske entry, the Shell car being driven by Scott Pye.
Shane Van Gisbergen just say terrible. What it is that's terrible, I don't know, but he's not happy about something. It's position 5 at the moment. Will Davison down the inside of Scott Pye at 5, and that's a move done. And Jeff Slater's just encouraging Shane Van Gisbergen to have a play with the rear anti-roll bar at the moment.
Yeah, guys, just catching up with a disappointed Scott McLaughlin, mate. First race didn't get too far. Damage to the front suspension. It was going to make it undrivable.
Yeah. My mistake. Just was too ambitious, and yeah, got an awesome start. And then all that stuff happened at turn 1. Went back a few, made some more back up, and then tried to make a move on Lounsey, but it got a bit crowded. I didn't realise we were 3 wide. So sorry to him and his boys, but my boys made a mistake, and yeah, we'll move on.
And it was tight down there. Obviously, Lownsy had gone off the road at the corner before, and obviously you saw an opportunity.
Yeah, he was pretty sideways off that corner. I got a run on him.
Hey, Murph, sorry to interrupt. We're going to have to step out of this.
One of the...
We just need to get on with the car race out here. And Reynolds has gone off at turn 14. Then there's all this trouble down here at 1.
Too bad, but just try and manage it if you can. Just try and manage it.
Goodness me, it's all going on out there at the moment.
Shame for Andre Heimgartner, who was running in the 10. Drama for Reynolds, who was the Friday fast man. There's been a couple of people that have gained here. Will Davison started 21st. He is up to 11th in car 9. So lots of action. Many thought there wouldn't be, but lots of action so far in this hard tyre race.
So look up the back of his shot here, and you can see that already rotating is Reynolds. Did he get a helping hand? Possibly. It was Heimgartner and Bright that were next in the queue. Meantime, down at turn 1, it's all going on down here again with Bright and Heimgartner. So off to the paddock they go. So there's a bit of spirit out there at the present time. This has been a lively race 13. Mostert's got a margin of 1.8 seconds. Mostert, Courtney, Winterbottom.
Remember, James was vocal in the lead up to this race about would ProDrive Racing Australia make a mistake? Would they, write their copybook in some way? They've had a brilliant run so far. This is smarts from Mark Winterbottom here. If they're aware of what's happening with Red Bull Racing Australia, the championship leader, he's keeping the pressure on Courtney, but he's not doing anything which would jeopardise the situation at the top of the points ladder, Neil. Smart stuff.
Meantime, David Wall, who was last on the grid, is up to 9th in car number 34 for Volvo. That's a fantastic performance, and there he is in the light blue car. In fact, it was Michael Caruso had quite a bobble there at turn 10, just in front of him. Caruso with Wall in the slipstream, then Tim Slade, Will Davison, and then Scott Pye. Michael's trying to shake the Volvo. He moves to the left-hand side of the road and tries to cover. Stays down there. David goes to the outside. Classic racing move. Tries to round him up. He's in the grey. It's hard to turn out there. He's trying to hang on. If he can, he'll have a 1.5 tonne block in his advantage and favour, but he can't. There's no grip out there, and in fact, he drops a couple of spots in process.
David's not finished higher than 15th all year.
More contact, this time at 5. And Michael Caruso's been given the bad sportsmanship flag for running down the inside, I imagine, down at a couple of corners. That's just taken the attention of race control. Meantime, David Reynolds, who's at the back of the fields, blazing in terms of his lap speed, and Windcupper's off the road at 7. There's stuff going on out there everywhere. They've all had red cordial before this one. Maybe it's the temperature, but there's stuff going on around the racetrack every which way. We saw it at the start. We've seen it at both ends of the circuit. Mostert is the leader, 1.8 seconds over Courtney. Then Mark Winterbottom, then Rick Kelly, pole sitter for the next race. Shane Van Gisbergen, who was complaining about, I think, the way the tyres were behaving when they cooled out before. He's tweaked the bars and trying to recover.
Best lap of the race so far belongs to Courtney, a 1:08.132. As we focus on the champion, Jamie Whincup. Back with these guys battling. He's got maybe a little bit of breathing space on Winterbottom now. Then Rick Kelly defending Shane Van Gisbergen. Mostert's bolted, 2.01 seconds the margin.
This is this exchange down at 5, so David couldn't pull it up, got crossed up, clouded Will, down the inside goes Pye. Dale Wood buys a ticket to it, and Todd Kelly's got a good seat to watch it all here as well as they make the run up towards the hairpin. Then on it goes, Whincup getting into the back of Will, Todd Kelly gets shoved wide. More stuff going on as they turn through the right-hander. And the next thing we see is one of the Red Bull cars just wandering into the grass. That's right, so there we are with Whincup, just couldn't control the pace and the balance through there.
Well, guys, yeah, you were right, Neil. I just went out to chat to Steve Hallam from Techno Autosport, and Shane Van Gisbergen. As Courtney was sorry, we can see him. He went wide. He's going to lose a couple of spots here. Sorry to be doing your job, guys, and commentating, watching the big screen, but it's all happening. But you were right about Gisbergen. Just complaining about those tyre pressures, and probably a little bit early on the complaining because it has settled down. He's got some speed again.
Yeah, once they've cooled out, they've ended up with some pickup on them, a little bit of dirt, a little bit of rubber and debris, and they would have been wobbling around, and he was hating it. So Courtney's in stride. It wasn't just a question of the tyres not coming up in the early phase of the race or after that safety car restart for James. It's actually a balance issue, isn't it? The thing's just not quick enough at the moment. Couldn't stop it down at 1. He was under pressure. Maybe there was some contact, but it looked as though he just couldn't manage it down there. The car is just not nicely balanced for him at the moment. It looks pretty wild in the rear. 4th at the moment. Blake Smith in the foreground. Alistair McVeigh on the right. Adrian Burgess, centre of screen. So now we focus on Will Davison to the left, Nick Percat to the right, then Todd Kelly. Craig Lowndes is almost bolted to the back of that Nissan. Lee Holdsworth, we've got another car off the road out there. It's got to be David Waugh because we know that McLaughlin is doing interviews in pit lane.
Another shout out here too, Neil, in terms of movers in this race. Scott Pye from 20th. I know we've had some skirmishes, but that's helped a couple of guys. Pye has climbed from 20th to be 9th. These guys are climbing all over each other.
Will did Lowndes no favours at all then coming off 5. He ran a narrow wedge. So there's plenty of heart rate out there at the moment between these guys. We're now riding with Whincup. Here's Van Gisbergen having a look down the inside of Courtney. Just locked the brakes momentarily between 13 and 14. James is sliding everywhere. So Shane will get a run at him. Let's listen to this thing.
7 to go.
James actually got away from him in the middle of the straight. It's got good pace, that HRT car, but it isn't turning well. Look at this. See the little step mid-corner? It'll be on when they get down here to 5, through the high-speed S's. Shane will have a peep. Thought about it, not close enough. Next opportunity, up at the hairpin. Oh, he's got a moment himself. He's only just hung on Speedway style. Did he get a touch or do it on his own? I think it was on his own. Here comes Tander on the outside at the hairpin. Michael Caruso in this as well. They're all having trouble. It's interesting, if they sidestep ever so slightly and come out of the racing groove onto the grey stuff, there's no grip. So they're mistake prone out there at the moment when the pressure's on.
Good point about Caruso behind these guys. Good lap time from him. Meantime, James Moffat keeps the pressure on here in the 99 on Tander and Van Gisbergen. This is a great battle. Mostert's lead is now 2.6 seconds and he has the fastest lap of the race. A 1:08.05. There it is for you on teammate Mark Winterbottom. Pepsi Max 1-2 and the pole sitter for the next race, Rick Kelly sitting 3rd.
Impressive lap speed for Mostert, given that we're so deep into this race, to have just posted the quickest lap. Impressive.
Tim Edwards, it is all happening in this race, but the beauty of your guys, qualify up the front and you avoid all this carnage at the back.
Yeah, well, Frosty didn't quite qualify well enough, but he did manage to avoid all the carnage at turn 1. So, yeah, there's a fair few sheep stations for play down the back at the moment. It's entertaining to watch, that's for sure. I'm glad we're not in it.
Oh, more trouble here.
Thanks,
Lowndes
Tim.
goes off to the outside of turn 5 and brings up a huge rooster tail, and he's got it sideways. In fact, he's worried about him getting out of there. He's up and running again. What a disaster race for Lowndes. Second in the championship coming into the race, minus 12 points. You hear the thing just sliding, wheel spinning, protesting as he tries to get back on with filthy tyres.
And his teammate after that first or turn 1 incident with Coulthard is up to 14th place.
Tim Edwards made the point about Frosty making the most of it. He qualified 6th. He's now 2nd, and he's 3 seconds behind Chaz Mostert, whose consistency is very impressive. Last lap through, he was only 1/10 slower than the best lap of the race. Here comes Lee Holdsworth down the inside. Will Davison at 1.
Van Gisbergen.
Safety car boards and flags, safety car boards and flags.
Okay, the second barbecue of the afternoon. Out comes the Lexus safety car. And this is as a result of cars, hot cars, going off the racetrack down there at 1. Here's the replay of what happened when we're in conversation with Tim Edwards. So I think Craig did it on his own. Again, when you're wide of the line down there, there was another car underneath him, so he couldn't turn down. He had a lot of pace. And the replay down at 1. So he gets up the inside of Will here. understand a bit more about it. So they've run side by side, and then he's wide and can't pull it up. I have to say that's pretty ambitious in that spot.
Is this to your point about yesterday, that with this brand new surface, there is kind of a line here, and the moment you step a little bit too far offline, you're in trouble?
Yeah, so that all started back at turn 1. These two fellas went side by side through the high-speed S's at 2, 3 and 4. And then by definition, it puts Craig on the grey line, the dirty line, when they go to turn right. And a millimetre will do the difference at the moment, is the difference between being able to get it to turn and not. And around he went. Tim Edwards' description was right. He's a very effective commentator this afternoon at the sheep station.
Despite Van Gisbergen running off there before, he has the quickest lap of the race now. 1 minute 07.92 prior to the Lexus safety car coming out, the RCF. We spoke to Anthony Minicello prior to the race. He's actually cut some laps in this car at Mount Panorama and thoroughly enjoyed it.
So a couple of heavyweights nowhere to be seen. Jason Bright's 23rd, last active car on the racetrack. Lowndes is 22nd. David Reynolds is 20th. I mean, David was man of the match yesterday, Friday Grand Prix winner. And
he'll hate that.
Yeah, just murdered them in both practice sessions, and can't believe the turn of fortune for him today. Very, very disappointing, and no doubt extremely frustrating.
Meantime, Tander, who endured a very frustrating day yesterday, has found himself up into 6th position, limited track running, steering issues, and again, problems this morning in practice 3. That's not a bad result, all things considered.
3 Nissans in the top 10.
Lots of interesting things to come out of this.
Not enough time to type. I normally track who goes where and who goes off and who did what to who, so I can follow it up after, but I lost the plot after about incident number 15. I'll read about it later.
Good luck retelling that story. Positive stuff again for Scott Pye, who had a great outing at Winton last time as well. Wasn't able to get a gain on the new tyre yesterday, but he, in fact, it didn't get a gain at all in lap time terms. Was a bit frustrated or perplexed by that. He's now up into 9th position, as we said before. That's good for DJR, Team Penske. Hopefully he can keep that form from Winton going.
It's a shame this one's got to end shortly.
It's been good, hasn't it?
It's certainly been lots to keep us talking and entertained. This is going to shuffle the points order a little as well. Chaz Mostert continuing this very fine recent form. Picked up a win the last event at Winton Saturday afternoon, the first race. And his teammate cleaned up thereafter.
Safety car at 80.
Eddie's lucky Red Sox. That's a style statement if ever we've seen one.
Love it.
He's a great guy, very passionate, great supporter of his boy, and a real race fan.
Haven't made mention of Nick Percat either. He's picked up spots in this race. Not as much as others, but 16th to 12th, that's positive too.
He was quickest man on a second-hand hard tyre for quite a chunk of yesterday, and when they bolted the new tyre on it, nothing happened. There was no party. So he was a bit weirded out by that one. But it was an interesting description from Barry Hay when I asked about his rating of Nick, because he'd worked with so many successful drivers over a long period of time, and he really rates him highly. If you were with us in our coverage yesterday, he gave him a very big green tick. It was a very positive remark about the way in which he's driving. So he's doing a nice job. He's 12th at the moment.
Barry knows. Worked at Stone Brothers with Russell Engel when he won the championship in 05. We go green once again. Not many laps to go in this one. Race 13. Look at Van Gisbergen here.
Down the inside goes Shane. He's having a look at the Nissan. Rick covers. It looked like James may have gone a fraction early. There's trouble at 1, and Van Gisbergen tries to fire down the inside. Can't get it done. Makes contact with Courtney, and carted to the outside is Tander. More madness at Hidden Valley.
What a race. Meantime, as Ryan Walkinshaw looks on, they've gone from being the pole sitters of this one and pumped about that to almost having their head in their hands.
They were spoken to at the drivers' briefing yesterday about making sure that they stayed line astern at a restart, and they green flags had to be out before anybody could break ranks, and that would go out on the race management channel. To me, like a few of them further back in the pack may have just jumped a fraction early then in terms of their movements, but I'm sure Jason Bargwanna will be looking at that very carefully.
We've seen that on the replay. Meantime, those Pro Drive Falcons have stayed out of trouble. Andre Heimgartner has a minor excursion, but gets back on.
Yeah, not that one.
These are the ones we're talking about. Here's Mostert from Winterbottom. Gap back to Rick Kelly. What about the job by James Moffat and Michael Caruso? They've stayed out of drama. They've stayed out of trouble. 3 Nissans in the top 5. Terrific stuff.
So James Courtney's gone from pole to last. He's now 23rd. Mostert's got a margin.
The HRT boys love to see that replay and see what they think. Van Gisbergen still with the quickest time of the race. We're running out of laps in this one. It seems like Mostert had that drama at Winton. Great qualifying form, but made just a slight error. Went off the circuit and backed the car into the tyre wall there. His team boss, Tim Edwards, yesterday said he just let him reflect on it on his own. He asked him to do nothing different. He wanted him to keep the same approach, the same aggression in his racing.
He deserves this victory. Nose clean, got a margin, great pace. Well done, Chaz Mostert.
Well done. Great drive.
Mostert takes out race 1 of the Sky City Triple Crown here, and it's a 1-2 for the Pepsi Max crew. Rick Kelly home in 3rd position, ahead of a trio, or in the trio of Altimas. James Moffat, Michael Caruso, Scott Pye, 6th place for DJR Team Penske.
I'm glad you missed it all. Well done.
Further improving on his season best 8th for Scotty Pye at Winton at the last outing. So 6th in the Shell Helix car.
Here we go. Let's have a look at this. Your thoughts here on this?
Yeah, it was actually much closer to the final corner where there could have been an issue, but let's have a look at what happens down here at 1. So they're all jinking, and I think it's because James jumps to the left of Rick, and I don't reckon he knew that Van Gisbergen was necessarily down there. That's had a pretty detrimental effect to everybody at HRT. So, yeah, James has, I reckon he's jumped out too early here. This is what they talked about in the driver's briefing yesterday. And in fact, he backed out of it then. He backed out of it because he was worried about passing Rick before he got to the control line. What a mess.
He put his hand in the air there.
Yeah, because I know what's going through his mind. He's frustrated about what's gone on there. I reckon he jumped too early.
Did he feel balked by Kelly's car not getting on the gas soon enough? So that may have been his interpretation.
Yeah, I think you'll find he jumped when they came off turn 14. He came out of the queue and then semi-accelerated and then realised that was going to put him in the sin bin.
Well, Mostert has done it. Opened the Darwin account beautifully. And it's a 1-2 for this operation into UBET Victory Lane. And then Rick Kelly as well. So some good stories to come out of this one in terms of movers in the pack. Yes, there's a couple of other points to make. Dale Wood finishes 8th for Brad Jones Racing. Nick Percat, 9th. All of the Nissans in the 10. Todd Kelly rounding out the 10. New helmet paint scheme this weekend for this guy. And he keeps the same style, the same approach to his racing to take it out here. Cool stuff. They were fast in that race on the Sunday with Mark Winterbottom and Shane Van Gisbergen last year. Some wondered if this might be a turning point for them in some way. They have just kept the same style, the same approach at so many different venues now. He was able to make he said he sat down and looked at Mark Winterbottom's starts at Winton, I think it was, and the way Frosty was able to get off the line. He was a demon today, a jet, wasn't he?
It was a very, very good start. The other thing that happened here that just, well, a lot of things happened, but Whincup actually struggled back up to 11th after being in the bomb zone in the middle of all that. So that's actually not a bad outcome. Yeah, a few points there.
Wow, what a race. And Chaz Mostert, you will be oblivious to everything that was happening behind you because you were out there streaks ahead. Congratulations. Welcome to the UBET victory lane here at the Sky City Triple Crown in Darwin.
Yeah, thank you very much. This track's a bit of a bogey of mine, so it's fantastic to get a front row start, but to win the race is awesome. And what better off for the team to get a 1-2? It's fantastic. Frosty started 6th. I can't wait to watch his in-car camera to see how he carved everyone up because I might need it for a couple in the next one.
You'll be sitting there for a long time because there was plenty of action happening behind you. Congratulations, Chaz. P1 on the podium. This is Robbie Cook, the CEO from the Tats Group in UBET. Enjoy the podium. Mark Winterbottom, starting from 6th position on the grid. You weren't so confident after qualifying, but gee, you had some speed in that race.
Yeah, it was not too bad. There's plenty going on, so sort of pretty interesting out there, but yeah, stayed out of trouble. The car was reasonable. It's still not what I had yesterday, so I want to try and get that back. But yeah, to salvage a result, you know, past 4 cars when they're all crashing into each other is good, and yeah, just good to get a result. But hey, to Renee and the kids, I know Austin beat himself up today, so it wasn't because of qualifying, it was an incident, so don't beat yourself up, buddy.
The Pepsi Max cars, they have got some ominous form at the moment. You guys are really on strong.
Yeah, it's going good, but he's quick. He had a good start then, and Rick was quick too, so we'll see what happens in the next one. We're a bit further back, so hopefully we can pass some cars.
Looking forward to it. Here's some silverware from the girls at UBET. And Rick Kelly, fantastic once again to see the Jack Daniels car at Nissan Motorsport on the podium and here in the UBET victory lane.
Yeah, I tell you what, the guys are giving me a great car. The JD car today is pretty unstoppable. It's fantastic to be in a position to actually race people. We put a good move on Van Giers and pulled away a little bit. Courtney made another mistake and let us through, so pretty glad to be on the podium.
Congratulations, Rick Kelly, and here's your silverware from the girls here at UBET.
Yeah, James Courtney. Horror restart there. Obviously, you had a bit of a jump, and Chaz obviously waited to go, and then it's caused a whole kerfuffle down at turn 1.
Yeah, it's, so running side by side, and then we all went into one and got hit from behind, and then.
You feel you were okay? I mean, obviously Garth was on the outside of you. You feel you were okay before you got that hit?
Yeah, I was pulling up, and then I got hit again, and then hit into him. So it's yeah, I wasn't trying to pass him or anything, but it's yeah, damage in the rear. So
did you know Van Gisbergen was right beside you?
I could see him there on the restart, and then we got the jump, and then I couldn't see him anymore, and then yeah, then he just hit me in the rear, and it was all over.
So here's the replay of what happened here from the outside of turn 1. So there's Rick covering, natural thing to do. Shane Van Gisbergen having a lunge down the inside, but then James is starting to squeeze down because he's also thinking about putting a move on Rick Kelly. I reckon he's completely lost in the peripheral vision there, and he's just closed onto the front bumper of Shane Van Gisbergen's car. And of course, collateral damage in that process with Garth Tander on the outside of 1.
Yeah, he was collateral damage. GT, it's hard to take a little bit of a trick at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just how our weekend's going at the moment. We had a lot of dramas yesterday with the car, and then again this morning in quali, and qualified out of position, but car was really good in the race. We raced up, got in front of the guy that qualified on pole in 15 laps, and then got caught up in someone else's accident by the looks of things. So disappointing, but the encouraging thing, car speed was there.
Yeah, I mean, you got through all the carnage, that early carnage. There was a lot of stuff going on. You got around it, and the car did look pacey. To get caught up in that, running down the outside, obviously, Chaz chose to wait a little bit before he went on the restart, which is his prerogative, and you got a bit of a run, obviously a really good run down the outside, but you were the bystander.
Yeah, it's happened a bit lately, but anyway, nothing to do about it now. Encouraging thing was the car speed was good. Track was really weird at the start of the race. Everyone was really taily, and I managed to get a few there. And yeah, we're just picking them off and caught that group, and then the restart worked well. Yeah, Chaz can do what he wants at the restart. You're the leader. You can do what you want all the way to the start line if you want. So he did the same thing twice in a row, which is different. I certainly learned. I had to sort of hold up a little bit that first restart, so I made sure I got myself in a position that I didn't have to hold up behind anyone, cross the line legally, got a run on those guys, and it looks like they just ran into each other. So it's the way the cookie crumbles.
Good news, you get to go again in about an hour or so.
Awesome, can't wait.
Seen it also. Let's have a look in here. Turn 14. See, James has jumped to the left. I can't see the green flag, so I can't put it in context for you. But he's allowed to overlap, but he's not allowed to pass before the control line. So He feathered the throttle. The minute you feather the throttle, you're in a pile of pain. And that's the reason why Garth went round the outside. And then there's Shane down here as well. There he goes. And what we don't see is Garth on the outside. Wow.
So the Holden Racing team watching that replay just there and are pretty disappointed. James Courtney, as we recap the results for you. Race 13 of the championship. Mostert from Winterbottom, a 1-2 for that operation. Tremendous stuff for Kelly, Moffat and all of the Nissan team. Jamie Whincup recovers, as Neil said, to be just outside the 10 after that incident which saw Fabian Coulthard retire from the race.
Let's have a look at the highlights of race number 13. Where do we start? It'll be a documentary. So we'll have a run down here into turn 1 and watch what goes on. And straight away there's aggravation, this time involving Jamie Whincup and Fabian Coulthard on the outside of turn 1. Big damage in this brand new car, frustration. Quite how Jamie was able to climb back was a bit of a miracle. There was a lot of stuff going on at turn 5 throughout the race. That was Todd Kelly getting shoved wide. Scotty McLaughlin went down the inside and skittled a bunch of them, including Tim Blanchard, Craig Lowndes, whose Warfield afternoon continued. Unfortunately, it was enough to damage the Volvo and put it back in the garage. Dean Cowling, the team manager, at the front of the car there. Back to turn 1, Dale Wood off the road. And because the cars are hot, that was actually a little bit of a problem down there. Another restart. More trouble up at turn 10. Percat and Whincup. And straight line between corners up there at the top of the circuit. David Reynolds, never quite understood what happened to him there, but around he went, and there was definitely some aggravation between these two guys, Jason Bright and Andre Heimgartner. Down the inside, David Wall tried to pull it up, wasn't able to successfully do so. Some contact there with Will Davison. Todd Kelly was pretty much in the war zone throughout. James Courtney was defending with Mark Winterbottom pushing super hard, but he was all out of shape down there at 1 when he got in the grey. Was a little bit lucky to recover that one. Lowndes tried to run side by side with Will Davison through 4 and 5, and then once he got onto the grey stuff down there, he just wasn't able to turn the car to the right. Trying to figure out the strategy plays in the Red Bull Racing garage. We had a fire, triggered a safety car. Look at this stuff here. This is where James is trying to figure out all that's going on. There's Rick Kelly, there's his teammate Garth Tander, there's Shane Van Gisbergen, there's restarts, there's flags, there's overlaps, there's a whole bunch of puzzles to try and unravel. But the end game here is the Holden Racing team guys have fared very poorly, very frustrating for them. And you can see the shoulders drop on Adrian Burgess, and the conversion from pole to no result, extremely frustrating. Checkered flag, second victory in 2 race meetings for Chaz Mostert. These guys are running hot at the moment. Terrific recovery also for his teammate Mark Winterbottom, but well done, young Chaz. Beautiful drive.
Mostert's first ever win at Hidden Valley, second for Winterbottom, his 7th podium of the season. That increases his championship lead over Craig Lowndes to 56 points.